My wife, every time she went to bar to meet her young lover, would transfer $1 million into my account as compensation. In just 5 short years, my balance hit $80 million. This time, right after receiving another $10 million from her, I got a provocative video from the guy, along with mocking messages. Matthew, do you even know how crazy Olivia is about me? In just 3 days, I've already gone through 7 boxes of condoms. Sorry, but tonight Olivia's mine again. She's stepping out now to call you, brace yourself. Almost instantly, my phone rang. The screen showed, "Darling wife." I took a deep breath and answered. Olivia's voice came through, dripping with fake guilt. "Honey, I've got urgent work. I had to go on a business trip tonight." Before she could finish, I cut in. "Go ahead." She kept trying to explain, but I hung up and called a taxi to a discreet organization. Facing the man before me, I said calmly, "I need you to stage a private jet crash. I want to disappear from Olivia's life, cleanly, permanently." Alex, my closest friend, froze, nearly dropping his cup. He thought he'd misheard. Without another word, I showed him the video. The moment it ended, Alex's eyes burned red with rage, his whole body trembling. He didn't speak, just gave a sharp, silent nod of agreement. Afterward, I visited my mentor. Before I left, he took me to a nearby temple and said gently, "This place is very sacred. I'd like to get you a protective amulet." As soon as we arrived, a monk I'd never met called out my name. He smiled kindly. "You're wondering how I knew your name, aren't you?" Then he explained. "A year ago, a woman named Olivia donated $80 million to this temple. She even climbed the mountain on her knees, from the base all the way up, just to pray for your safety. She didn't take the amulet with her. Instead, she left it here for us to bless through chanting. I was so touched by your couple's deep love, it brought me peace." Hearing this, I lowered my eyes. Sweet memories from the past flooded back, mixing with the sting of betrayal, making my carefully guarded heart tremble. "Today is quite a coincidence. You've come just in time," the monk said. "Please take this amulet home." I accepted it in silence. But as I turned to leave, he called after me. "Wait, one more thing." He handed me a second amulet. "Olivia also requested another one for you. Take both." When I saw the names on the amulets, I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. Alongside mine was another name, Ethan. That night, Olivia came home to find me already asleep, alone. For years, we'd always waited for each other. Only in each other's arms could we fall asleep. But this was the first time I hadn't waited. She quietly slipped into my embrace, wrapped her arms tightly around my neck, and whispered in that sweet, anxious voice, "I missed you so much, husband." Even a few hours apart felt like a lifetime. "If you ever left me, I don't think I could go on." "Is that so?" I murmured. She smiled softly. "Oh, by the way, I have something to discuss. The island I mentioned, the feng shui isn't good. I bought 2 new ones instead. Is that okay?" I closed my eyes, indifferent. "Buy fewer next time." Sensing my coldness, Olivia grew even more uneasy. "Honey, did I do something to upset you?" I sighed. "No, I'm just tired." Then, after a pause, I added, "Our wedding anniversary is in a few days. Tomorrow afternoon, I'll take the private jet overseas. I've arranged a gift there. I want to pick it up myself." Olivia frowned, worried. "But your health hasn't been great. A 15-hour flight will exhaust you. Let me go instead." I gave a faint smile. "It's an anniversary gift. I have to bring it back myself." Her heart melted at that. "I'll trust you," she said. The next morning, Olivia woke early, prepared breakfast, then left, saying work called urgently. As soon as she was gone, I started packing. I opened the closet and tore to shreds every piece of clothing I'd once poured my heart into making for her, tossing them into the trash. As for the luxury gifts she'd given me, without hesitation, I handed them all to the house staff. For 3 years, Olivia and I had carefully gathered every moment together, cherished every beautiful memory, and promised to protect them forever. 16 photo albums, each page, each picture, filled with the marks of our happiness, were now one by one tossed into the fireplace without hesitation. Suddenly, Olivia came back. She'd forgotten an important document. The moment she stepped inside, her eyes landed on our cherished memories, being devoured by flames. Her mind went blank, a shock so violent it struck straight to her core, erasing everything else from her thoughts. Without thinking, she lunged forward, plunging her hand into the blazing fire to rescue the last half of the final album. "Honey," her voice trembled, eyes wide with confusion as she looked at me. "Why are you burning them?" I let out a cold, indifferent laugh. "It's nothing. The photos just looked bad. I didn't want to keep them." I stepped closer, gently taking her scorched, reddened hand, my eyes flickering with a trace of concern. "We still have plenty of time together. We can take new photos. Why would you stick your hand in the fire like that? Look, your hand's already burned." I frowned, giving a firm order. "Call the doctor right away." Seeing the genuine worry in my eyes, Olivia's anxiety slowly faded. She began acting like a child again, pouting. "Honey, blow on it for me. It won't hurt as much then." If any of her subordinates saw this, they'd surely think their stern, unshakable CEO had been possessed. Acting so coquettish at her age. I stayed silent, subtly shifting my body to hide the pile of clothes I'd shredded, still lying in the trash can. After grabbing her documents, Olivia kissed me softly on the cheek, voice sweet. "I'm off to work. I'll be back as soon as I'm done." She left. Just minutes later, my phone buzzed. A message from Ethan. "Skyline Hotel. Your wife's here. Got a little show for you today. Should be quite entertaining." My blood ran cold. So every time she said, "going to work," she was actually meeting Ethan. I knew clearly, if I went there, what I'd see would shatter me. But I went anyway. When I arrived, I froze. Today was his birthday. Olivia, her parents, their friends, all gathered for a lavish celebration. Inside the hotel, every server passing by addressed Ethan as Ms. Olivia's husband. Olivia didn't object. She just smiled tenderly at him, her eyes brimming with affection. Her parents beamed at Ethan with warmth and doting pride. The very look I'd never once received from them. "If it weren't for Ethan," her mother said, "how could I ever enjoy this family happiness? Olivia, don't you dare treat him coldly. You must take good care of him. Understand?" Olivia smiled and nodded without hesitation. "Have I ever treated him poorly? Whatever Matthew has, Ethan has too. Clothes, watches, houses, cars, haven't I always prepared two of everything?" I thought I could face anything calmly. But in that instant, something inside my head exploded. All those happy memories from the past crumbled into dust. The shards cut deep into my heart, making it bleed. So everyone knew. They'd known for a long time. Everything I believed was mine alone was nothing but a lie. Whatever I had, Ethan had too. And whatever I didn't have, he still did. I quickly stepped behind a large column in the lobby, just in time to overhear Olivia talking to her cousin, Kevin. "Cousin." Kevin frowned, voice laced with frustration. "Are you really planning to live like this forever? You can't wrap fire in paper. No matter how well you hide it, Matthew will find out sooner or later." Olivia laughed, a calm, chilling laugh. "I love Matthew, but I love Ethan too. I can't abandon him. Living like this for the rest of my life? That's fine by me. But what if you're found out one day? What then?" Kevin pressed. "Aren't you being unfair to Matthew? Being so unfaithful like this?" Olivia remained composed, smiling lightly. "That will never happen. Haven't things been perfectly fine for the past 2 years? I know I've wronged Matthew, so I'll treat him even better, make it up to him." Kevin's face twisted in clear disgust. "So you think love can be bought with money?" She frowned, her tone turning serious. "Out of family loyalty, I'll just say this once. Aunt Charlotte's coming back from abroad soon. She's very old-fashioned and absolutely despises people who live recklessly like you. If she finds out about this, She'll definitely make a huge scene. I leaned back against the column, feeling as if the whole world had collapsed. Slowly, I slid down until I was sitting on the cold floor. My heart ached to numbness, my mind churned with nausea. I bolted out of the hotel in panic, but the relentless shocks had already drained my body's strength. My vision darkened, and I crumpled to the ground. When I came to, I was lying in an unfamiliar room. Soft light from a floor lamp cast a quiet, somber glow over the space. On the sofa beside the bed, a woman in a sharp, high-end suit was intently reviewing a thick stack of documents. Her rimless glasses sat perfectly on her nose, accentuating the sharp elegance of her features. She showed no emotion, but her deep, icy gaze unintentionally created an invisible pressure, making it hard for anyone in her presence to breathe freely. I slowly sat up, disoriented at first, then realized the woman was Charlotte, Olivia's aunt. A successful businesswoman, she'd spent years building her career overseas. I rarely saw her, but I'd heard Olivia always treaded carefully around her. When they were younger, Olivia was wild, her parents often let it slide. But Charlotte had been strict, shaping her with discipline. Olivia had once spoken of her aunt with a mix of respect and fear. A woman who lived by ironclad principles, never lenient. Charlotte's voice broke the silence. Awake? She closed the file, studying me carefully. The doctor said you haven't fully recovered from your surgery, and the emotional shock was too much. So you fainted? Your surgery? Olivia doesn't know about it, does she? If she did, she wouldn't have left you to collapse alone on the street. I stayed silent for a long time, then whispered, "Thank you for today, but please don't tell her." Charlotte looked at me deeply, as if weighing something. I clenched my hands, nearly pleading. "Please." She paused, seemingly surprised by my desperation. Logically, given the state of my marriage to Olivia, this absolutely should be disclosed. But in the end, she relented. "Fine, I'll keep it secret." Her reply was brief, but I knew this wasn't easy for her to agree to. Back at home, Olivia returned soon after. She walked in with her usual gentle smile. "Honey, what would you like to eat today? I'll cook for you." For years, no matter how busy she was, she'd always prepared all 3 meals herself, afraid the chef wouldn't suit my taste. She pulled out a small box and opened it in front of me. "The custom watch has arrived. Do you like it?" One glance was enough. I recognized the exact same design she'd given Ethan. A cold smile flickered at the corner of my lips. So what I'd once believed was exclusive devotion was just cheap affection split in two. No need, I'd like to go to Star Castle. Star Castle, the estate we'd built 5 years ago, filled with memories. The 97th time she successfully confessed her love. Our first hand-in-hand walk. Our first kiss. Our lifelong vows. But since it was in the suburbs, we rarely visited after marriage. It was noon. By 3 p.m., I'd be leaving this place forever. Before I went, I wanted to see it one last time. Olivia's expression flickered with panic. Earlier, Ethan had insisted on staying there, and she'd already given him the keys. "Let's go after lunch," she said, while secretly texting Ethan to leave immediately. At 1 p.m., we arrived at Star Castle. The moment I stepped inside, I sensed something was off. The rose bushes had been replaced with lilies. The pale blue curtains I loved were swapped for pink. And men's shoes sat in the living room. Clearly, someone else had been living here, but I pretended not to notice. I quietly walked upstairs and opened the closet where our old photo albums were kept. I wanted to burn them, to erase memories that now made my skin crawl. But when I opened the box, I froze. Inside weren't photos of Olivia and me, but of her and Ethan. In lavender fields, beneath the Eiffel Tower, in a hot air balloon. All the places we'd once visited. Where I'd etched my happiest moments. So all this time, while I was oblivious, she'd brought another man to these sacred places, tainting the memories I'd once held so dear. I stood rigid, my breath heavy. Olivia saw my pale face and stepped closer. "What's wrong?" I slammed the album shut. gave a faint smile, and said calmly, "Nothing, I want to go home." Without waiting for her reply, I turned and headed downstairs. Suddenly, her phone rang. The moment she glanced at the screen, her expression shifted, panic flashing across her face, barely concealed. "Honey, I'll just pop into the restroom for a minute. Go downstairs and wait for me, okay?" She spoke quickly, her smile strained. I nodded and silently turned away. But just a few minutes later, as I passed the hallway, I stopped instinctively. From outside the bathroom door, Olivia's voice drifted out, soft, but laced with anxiety. "Didn't I tell you to leave? Why are you still here?" A low chuckle answered, deep, deliberate, and grating to the ear. "Don't you want a little excitement?" Ethan's voice, mocking, amused. "Remember? We did it right on your wedding bed, in front of your wedding photo with him. But now, he's right downstairs. Isn't that even more thrilling?" Olivia inhaled sharply. Her breathing grew quick, uneven. Just this once. Water splashed. Then came the sounds. The kind no husband ever wants to hear. I stood motionless outside the door, listening. Yet inside me, no storm. No pain. No rage. No bitterness. Only a hollow, icy void, numb to the core. The woman I once loved, how did she become this? Like a poppy, exquisitely beautiful, yet rooted in filth. Alluring on the outside, rotten within. Or, had she always been this way? Had I just refused to see it? Memories suddenly pulled me back years, to the day Olivia first introduced me to her circle. Those wealthy elites. All smiles to our faces, whispering behind our backs. Olivia's such a fool, only loyal to one man. In our world, keeping 10 lovers is nothing unusual. Back then, she'd looked at me with unwavering eyes. "I'm not like them, I only love you. Turns out, everyone's the same. The only difference is when they betray you." I let out a quiet laugh and walked downstairs. Calmly, as if nothing had happened. I was born a child of the mountains. My mother had been kidnapped and sold there. My father, a drunkard, would beat us both mercilessly every time he was drunk. At 13, I ran away from the village. The first thing I did? Report my own father to the authorities. As he was being dragged away, he snarled through gritted teeth, "You'll never have a happy ending." My mother was freed. But she felt no gratitude. Because I was living proof of the shame she'd endured. Growing up in such a broken home, I learned to build walls inside myself, to keep everyone at a distance. Then, at 18, Olivia walked into my life. She was like a steady flame, patiently melting the ice around my heart, gently healing every wound. I helped her with her studies. She taught me how to love, gave me hope. Yet it was she who, at the peak of my happiness, stabbed me the deepest. A wound that would never heal. A few minutes later, Olivia stepped out of the estate. I looked at her, and instinctively reached for my wrist. A flicker of nostalgia in my chest. "This is the bracelet you wove for me yourself. But today, I noticed it's faded." My voice was low, edged with quiet irony. "Olivia, has your love for me faded too?" She looked up. Her eyes were so sincere, they almost made you believe her. "How could it?" She took my hand and kissed it softly. "My love for you only grows stronger every day." I smiled faintly. But in my eyes, only coldness remained. At first, I'd planned to leave quietly. But now, I'd changed my mind. I wanted revenge. Revenge for her betrayal. Revenge for 2 years of lies. Revenge for giving me love, only to leave a scar that would never close. I pulled her into an embrace. My voice was tender, so tender it even made me feel bitter. "Olivia, I love you too. Wait for me to come back. Let's celebrate our 3rd wedding anniversary together." "Ah, right." I pulled out a folder and placed it in her hands. "A gift for you. Don't open it until 2 days from now." Inside were stills from the video Ethan had sent me. When news of my plane crash spread, she'd surely open it. And then, she'd understand. She'd understand that her betrayal had driven me to despair. She'd understand she'd betrayed the husband who loved her most. And for the rest of her life, she'd be haunted by guilt and regret. "I'll wait for you," Olivia said, her eyes shimmering with hope. "Honey, let me drive you to the airport?" I shook my head gently. "No need. I know you're busy, someone will be looking for you soon." She froze. A flicker of confusion crossed her face. Was there sarcasm in his words? Then her phone buzzed. A message from Ethan. "You weren't satisfied, were you? Once you've seen your husband off, let's pick up where we left off." Below the text was a photo of him wearing my shirt. The top buttons undone, revealing his chest under the dim, golden light. Olivia's breath hitched. The unease that had just begun to surface was instantly burned away by a surge of desire. She remembered the first time with Ethan, after he'd gotten her drunk. She'd felt filthy, even suicidal. But he'd knelt before her, utterly humbled, begging, "Even if you ruined my family, I'll still love you. Olivia, without you, I'd die. Just to see you happy, I'd do absolutely anything." To please Olivia, Ethan knew no limits. From master and servant roleplay to the scratches and bite marks he proudly wore on his skin. He offered her everything she'd ever known, and everything she'd never dared try, without hesitation. Finally, he whispered, "You can pretend I'm Matthew. All the things you couldn't bring yourself to do to him, you can do to me." In that moment, the fire Olivia had long suppressed erupted. With me, she'd once wanted to dominate. To hear me beg for forgiveness. To see me grovel at her feet. But every time she got close, guilt would wash those thoughts away, leaving only a love that bordered on worship. But with Ethan, she didn't have to hold back. Her deepest, darkest desires were finally fulfilled. "Be careful on your trip," she said as I left. I looked at her one last time. But all I got in return was the careless sight of her back turning away. I smiled faintly. "Goodbye, Olivia, we'll never meet again." A few hours later, in the grand bedroom of Star Castle, Olivia clung to Ethan with feverish passion. Just as their breathing grew ragged, her phone rang, her assistant calling. "What is it?" she snapped, irritation thick in her voice. On the other end, a trembling voice replied, "Ms. Olivia? Your husband. His plane crashed into the ocean just after leaving national airspace." Olivia's body went rigid. "What did you say?" Ethan wrapped his arms around her from behind, murmuring, "What's wrong, mistress? Should we stop?" But she stood frozen like a statue. Seconds later, her legs gave out. A mouthful of dark red blood spilled onto the pristine white sheets. For 2 days, rescue teams scoured hundreds of miles of ocean. No sign of survivors. One rescuer said cautiously, "The chances of survival are nearly zero, he may have already." Before he could finish, Olivia screamed, "Don't you dare, I won't allow anyone to curse my husband. He's not dead." She thrashed like a cornered animal. Her assistant had to drag her away. Soon after, she muttered deliriously, "Today's our wedding anniversary, he promised he'd come back." She rushed to the chapel, where their massive wedding portrait stood in the hall. Staring at that familiar face, tears poured like a river. Just the thought that, at the very moment his plane went down, she'd been in bed with Ethan, sent a tidal wave of regret crashing through her, drowning all reason. "Matthew, were you scared? You promised you'd never leave me alone." She popped open a bottle of sleeping pills, poured them all into her mouth, clutched the wedding photo to her chest, and lay down. Darkness closed in, but death didn't come. The hotel manager found her and rushed her to the hospital. When she woke up, she learned the baby was gone. Her parents sat by her bedside, sobbing. "Before doing something so reckless, did you even think of us?" Olivia's eyes were empty. She had no emotions left, none at all. She let out a cold laugh, her voice icy. "Just pretend you never gave birth to this ungrateful daughter. Without Matthew, I can't go on living." Her parents broke down sobbing, so hard they fainted right there. Charlotte stood beside them, her eyes filled with helplessness. This niece of hers. 3 years ago, she'd turned her back on the entire family for Matthew. Now that Matthew was gone, She wanted to follow him to the grave. What kind of spell had he cast on her to make her this obsessed? Charlotte was about to speak, to offer some comfort, when Olivia suddenly grabbed her hand. "Auntie, in the passenger seat of my car, there's a folder. Could you get it for me?" It was the final gift I'd left her. She no longer had the will to live, but before dying, she still wanted to open it. Charlotte sighed softly, instructed the nurse to watch over her, and went to fetch it herself. But when she returned to the hospital room, she froze. Inside, besides Olivia, stood a man, weeping uncontrollably, his voice choked with grief. "Even if you don't care about anyone else, think of our child." Charlotte's brow furrowed, her hand, about to push the door open, stopped midair. What's going on? As far as she knew, Olivia and Matthew had never had a child. Could it be she'd been unfaithful during her marriage? Inside, the man kept pleading, desperate. "If you die, you'll take our baby with you. Without you, my life has no meaning." Olivia went still, then softened slightly. She gently stroked Ethan's hair and sighed. Why must it come to this? She was still hesitating. Charlotte took a deep breath, suppressing the storm of emotions rising inside her. She walked in and coldly tossed the folder onto Olivia's lap. "Here's what you wanted." Olivia's hands trembled as she opened it. Ethan still held her hand, his voice earnest. "Olivia, even though I never liked Matthew, I'm truly sorry about his accident. The dead are gone, the living must carry on. Don't do anything reckless. Let me stay by your side from now on, okay?" He'd waited so long, endured so much. And now that I was dead, Olivia would finally be all his. He was already dreaming of a bright future, barely hiding his smile. But he didn't notice Olivia's expression growing darker by the second. In the next instant, she hurled the entire folder at him, her face deathly pale, leaping to her feet in fury, and seized him by the throat. "I told you, I'd give you anything you wanted. But you were never, ever to let Matthew find out. Yet you dared tell him, and kept provoking him over and over." He flinched, ready to deny it. But his eyes fell on a sheet of paper on the floor. A screenshot of the messages he'd sent me. His pupils shrank. He'd assumed that with my pride, I'd either divorce Olivia outright or walk away quietly. Not expose everything like this. He never imagined that, before dying, I'd leave behind this. "You bastard." Olivia's grip tightened, her eyes blazing with murderous intent. In that moment, she truly regretted. Why didn't she just kill this disaster of a person years ago? Seeing this, Charlotte rushed forward and pulled her away. "That's enough. Are you really going to kill someone now?" Ethan stumbled back, gasping for air, clutching his neck, voice hoarse but seething with bitterness. "I've had no claim to you for 2 years, yet you'd really kill me?" He'd loved Olivia for her wealth and power, but he'd also genuinely loved her. Now, all that love twisted into hatred. Is this all my fault? If you hadn't kept losing control of yourself, would I have had the chance to provoke you? And now you want to blame everything on me? Don't even dream of it. Let me tell you. His death might not have been a plane crash at all. Maybe he killed himself. And the reason? It was you. Olivia stood frozen. In the silence, every strange detail from the past few days flooded back. A thought struck her. Seconds later, she burst out laughing. He's definitely not dead. He's hiding somewhere, I know it. I understand him. He's like a weed, tough, unbreakable. Even knowing I cheated, he wouldn't kill himself. He'd just leave me, somewhere I could never find him. Because he knows, I'd never agree to divorce." She shouted. "Someone, immediately investigate who Matthew's been in contact with these past few days." 3 months earlier, I'd left the country. Ever since, I'd spent every day drawing the curtains shut, curling up in my small room, drifting through days in a daze. I knew this despair was because of Olivia. Even though I'd erased her from my life, her memory was carved too deep to forget. She'd even become a habit. Alex invited me out for a meal. When I tasted my favorite dish, I instinctively turned to the empty seat beside me and murmured, "Honey, this is delicious." Make it for me when we get home, okay? The moment the words left my lips, both Alex and I froze. Night. I lay down on the bed and, out of habit, reached to embrace the person beside me. But the cold, empty space made me freeze. A wave of emptiness spread through me, tightening around my heart. I opened my eyes, fully awake, and knew I wouldn't sleep that night. The next morning, as I put on a new outfit, a strange feeling crept into my chest. Before, every shirt, every pair of pants I wore had been carefully chosen by Olivia. Each thread still carried the faint, familiar scent of the perfume she'd picked just for me. Now, the clothes returned from the dry cleaner were crisp and spotless, but hollow. That comforting fragrance was gone. For years, Olivia had quietly woven herself into every corner of my life, subtle, yet profound. We'd become like two differently colored threads, tightly interlaced into a single, inseparable fabric. Now, I had to learn to live alone, and let her vanish from my life completely. 3 months later, I'd adjusted. I took care of myself and rarely thought of Olivia. I graduated with dual degrees in software engineering and artificial intelligence. Programming had always been my passion, in the binary world of zeros and ones. Everything was clear, certain. By mastering the rules, I could use that certainty to create infinite possibilities. That sense of control brought me peace. After graduation, I continued working in the field, building experience. Recently, I began testing my own tech brand. Another 3 months passed, the first product was finished. I found a factory myself, invested my own capital for mass production, handled all the paperwork, and officially launched. It was meant as a small experiment, but the response exceeded all expectations. It attracted users instantly and caught the attention of major investors. Many corporations wanted to partner, but I preferred to stay out of the spotlight to avoid trouble. All negotiations were handled by Alex, my closest friend and business partner. He secured a deal with the most generous and powerful investor. When it came time to sign in person, by coincidence, the investor's CEO happened to be in this very small town. Alex didn't need to travel far, just meet face to face to finalize the contract. The moment Charlotte stepped into the room, she froze. If she remembered correctly, the man before her was Alex, Matthew's best friend. According to Olivia's investigation, the plane that crashed that day had been remotely controlled. And Alex was a leading expert in exactly that field. That meant, Matthew might not be dead at all. The plane that went down could have been empty. Before the incident, Matthew had contacted Alex only twice. Very likely, Alex had helped Matthew disappear. If Alex was here, could Matthew be here too? Unaware of Charlotte, or that he was under suspicion, Alex left the meeting without a second thought. The moment he was gone, Charlotte called her assistant. Find out where he lives and who he's with. Then her eyes darkened. At age 9, she'd been kidnapped by human traffickers after her family was targeted by enemies. They'd taken her to a remote mountain village, where she believed she'd be buried for life, until she met Jackson. The boy led her down an unfamiliar trail, and pressed a few stale buns into her hands. Just follow this path. By tomorrow afternoon, you'll be out. She gripped his hand, pleading, let's go together. If they find out, they'll kill you. Jackson shook his head. I have to take my mom, but she broke her leg, she can't walk. His eyes were fierce, determined. Once you're out, call the police for me. My mom, she was kidnapped too. After escaping, Charlotte ran a high fever and nearly died. When she woke up, the village's location had already faded from her memory. All that remained were his resolute eyes filled with tears, a large scar on his ankle, and a name, Jackson. For years, she'd never stopped searching. Her assistant had once sighed in frustration. There are too many people with that name nationwide. We're still filtering. Charlotte swallowed her disappointment and waved him off. Go do your work. A few days later, Alex dragged me to a bar near my place, saying he needed a drink to unwind. All evening, we turned down countless women who tried to flirt with us. Alex swirled his glass and sighed. A few days ago, at the signing, I met the most stunning woman. But her aura was so intimidating. I didn't dare ask for her number. Now I regret it. As soon as he finished speaking, his eyes lit up. Oh my God, that girl who just walked by is totally my type. The girl glanced back and said, "I'll be right back." Less than 5 minutes later, I felt the sofa dip beside me. Assuming it was Alex returning, I lazily asked, "Back so soon?" But when I turned, an unfamiliar perfume hit me. A chill shot down my spine. I jolted upright, accidentally knocking over my wine glass. Red liquid spilled across my coat. I scrambled to wipe it and apologize, but my heart was already racing wildly. "I'm sorry, I mistook you for someone else." "No problem." That cool, detached voice instantly froze me in place. I slowly lifted my head, and there she was, Charlotte. In that instant, a surge of panic exploded through me, sweeping through every nerve like a storm. Why is she here? Has Olivia found out I faked my death? Are they here to drag me back? Questions spiraled in my mind, but I had no time to think. The only thought left: run. Now. But the moment I turned, Charlotte's hand clamped down on my wrist. In a flash, she shoved me against the icy wall. To any onlooker, it looked like a slender but assertive woman embracing her lover from behind. Intimate, ordinary, no one would suspect a thing. Her voice came low against my ear, as calm and cold as ever. "What are you running from? I won't hurt you." She leaned in slightly, her tone slower, sharper. "But you're coming back with me, to see Olivia." I whipped around, glaring straight into her eyes. "Miss Charlotte, where I go is my own business. You have no right to interfere. Now, let go of my wrist." She didn't release me, in fact. She gripped tighter. Her voice remained steady, yet carried a suffocating weight. "Because you faked your death. Olivia nearly killed herself. When she realized you might still be alive, she almost lost her mind. One moment she's laughing, the next she's sobbing. Her mood swings are so extreme. I'm starting to think she's not mentally stable anymore. Don't you owe her at least one conversation, to settle things properly?" I stayed silent for a long time, then let out a quiet, hollow laugh. "No need, she and I are strangers now." Charlotte's brow furrowed slightly, her gaze sharpening. "Yes, her affair was her fault. But you should still talk to her once, instead of just running away like this." I gave a bitter smile. "Running away? If I'd had a choice, do you think I'd willingly give up everything? Change my name, my identity, live like a fugitive in the shadows? I chose this not just to punish her betrayal, but to make sure she could never disturb me again." My eyes grew heavy with exhaustion. "You don't understand her. She'll never agree to divorce. She'll never let go. She'll do things far more reckless than you can imagine. If you truly care about her, don't tell her you've seen me." Charlotte shook her head, her eyes still icy. "I'm sorry, I refuse. You're coming back with me." I laughed, but it was cold, empty. "Fine, if you're determined to force me back, then all you'll be taking home is a corpse." Charlotte stiffened, instinctively, her grip loosened. In that split second, I twisted free and ran. That night, Alex and I booked flights to another country. But just a few days later, after settling into a new apartment, I opened my door and froze. 2 rows of bodyguards in black suits stood perfectly still, faces stern, eyes sharp as blades. Not far away, Charlotte stepped out of a luxury car and walked toward me. Calm and composed, as if everything had gone exactly as she'd planned. I leaned against the doorframe, voice heavy. "What do you really want?" She smiled serenely, her eyes deep and unreadable. "This time, I'm not here to force you." I frowned, waiting. "I want you to stay within my sight." She narrowed her eyes, voice firm. "In return, I'll grant you full access to the core technologies of all my companies." I understood immediately. She'd investigated me thoroughly, knew my burning passion for technology. Knew this was an offer almost no one in my field could refuse. As long as I stayed, she could slowly persuade me to meet Olivia. Of course, I could say no. But no matter where I ran, she'd have people tracking me. Compared to being under 24/7 surveillance, this deal was clearly the better option. I gritted my teeth and muttered under my breath. Scheming businesswoman. Though furious, I nodded. Charlotte arranged a villa near her corporate headquarters. Convenient for my work, and easy for her to monitor. After she left, Alex slumped onto the sofa and groaned. Talk about fate. If I'd known that company belonged to Olivia, I'd have given our product away for free before ever signing a deal with them. Sorry, man. I patted Alex gently on the shoulder. My voice resigned. It's not your fault. The world's huge. How could anyone guess we'd accidentally land right in Charlotte's company? For now, I settled into life here. By day, I studied at Charlotte's company. By night, I returned home to work on my own product. Every few days, she'd show up. Always with the same goal, to convince me to meet Olivia. Today was no different. But this time, it was. The moment I stepped into the living room, I froze. It wasn't just Charlotte. Olivia was there too. Her face was flushed with emotion. Her eyes red-rimmed, as if she'd been waiting for this moment for all 7 months. Yet when she finally saw me, she stood rooted in place, afraid to take another step. Maybe she feared this was just a dream. Or worse, that the coldness and disgust in my eyes were real. Matthew, her voice trembled. I glanced at her once, then turned to Charlotte, my gaze icy. In the business world, Charlotte was always the one giving orders. The one others feared and respected. This was probably the first time anyone had ever given her that look. She cleared her throat, slightly flustered. I noticed you've been more stable lately. So I told Olivia to come. Yes, her affair was her fault, but faking your death was yours. I hoped the two of you could sit down and finally resolve this. I laughed, but there was no warmth in it. Sit down and talk calmly? Never. I took a step forward, my eyes sharp as blades. If, in the future, you get married, and your husband cheats on you, gets another woman pregnant, hides it from you for 2 whole years, and even sleeps with her in the very place where you two made your vows, could you sit down and have a calm conversation with him? Charlotte fell silent. Olivia turned deathly pale, head bowed, her whole body shaking. I looked straight at her, voice hard as stone. I faked my death to cut all ties with you. Her eyes widened in panic, but I didn't give her a chance to speak. Now that you've found me, listen carefully. There is nothing left between us. No chance. None. I paused, then gave a cold, mocking smile. Don't dream that clinging to me will make me soften. That day you and Ethan were together at Star Castle, I was standing right outside the door. I heard everything. And I will never forget it for the rest of my life. I closed my eyes for a brief moment, fighting the urge to vomit right then and there. When I opened them, my stare was piercing, cutting straight through her. If you have even a shred of self-respect, get out of my life. Because just seeing you makes me sick. Olivia went ghost white. Suddenly, she lunged forward, gripping my hand desperately, voice breaking. It's my fault, punish me however you want, kill me if you must. But don't leave me. Without you, I can't go on. I yanked my hand away, coldly. Whether you live or die has nothing to do with me. She let out a bitter laugh, then clutched my hand again. I've cut all ties with him. Please, just give me one chance to make it up to you. She started to kneel. I frowned, pulled her up, and said sharply, I've already told you, there's nothing left between us. I shoved her back, my eyes filled with revulsion. Stop clinging to me. But, I can't live without you. Her voice shattered into sobs. Charlotte sighed softly. Since childhood, she'd seen Olivia proud and untouchable. Never like this, broken and pathetic. As for me, I'd had enough. Her endless crying made my blood boil. Without warning, I shoved her away, then wrapped my arm around Charlotte's waist. Under Charlotte's stunned gaze, I leaned down and kissed her, hard, right on the lips. The air froze. Olivia's sobs stopped instantly. I pulled back, licked my lips, and gave a bland smile. There's no way for us to be together anymore. Because now, I'm interested in your aunt. Charlotte's pupils contracted sharply. Olivia turned ashen. Matthew, don't say nonsense. What, you don't believe me? Your aunt is beautiful, successful, and, most importantly, clean. Is it so strange that I'd be drawn to her? I smiled and moved to wrap my arms around Charlotte again. For the first time, her usual icy composure cracked. A mix of anger and flustered confusion flashing across her face as she stumbled back several steps. But I calmly stepped forward and pulled her tightly into my arms. I was still smiling. But deep inside, I hated Charlotte to the bone. If it weren't for her, Olivia might never have found me in this lifetime. My peaceful life would have remained untouched. She dragged me into this mess. So I owed her a little thank you in return. I leaned down and kissed her again. Charlotte, what perfume are you wearing? It's intoxicating. Charlotte had never been this close to a man in her entire life. Not in her wildest dreams did she imagine that one day, she'd be forcibly kissed, repeatedly, by her own niece's husband. Startled, she shoved me away with all her strength. You? She choked on the words, unable to form a complete sentence for half a minute. Fury burned in her chest, with no outlet. Finally, she turned sharply and slammed the door behind her as she stormed out. I turned to Olivia and smiled. Do you need me to keep proving it? Olivia's face went pale. She sank onto the doorstep. She knew me too well. Just one look in my eyes told her I was deliberately provoking her, pushing her to give up. Yet seeing me kiss someone else still made her heart ache so fiercely it stole her breath. Unbidden, she remembered the moment I discovered her affair. Those humiliating videos of her and Ethan. Had my heart hurt 10,000 times more than hers did right now? She closed her eyes. Silent tears spilled down her cheeks. At this point, she couldn't blame anyone but herself. She'd destroyed everything with her own hands. The next morning, I went to Charlotte's headquarters for my training session. At the elevator, I ran into her. The moment she saw me, her face cycled through every shade. Pale, then flushed, then burning red. A few seconds later, she gritted her teeth, turned on her heel, and marched straight toward the stairwell. 20 minutes later, her assistant came panting up to the rooftop, muttering under his breath, "Is the boss insane? There's a perfectly good elevator. Why torture herself like this?" That evening, I returned to the villa. The house was filled with the rich, comforting aroma of home-cooked food. I assumed Alex had ordered takeout. But no, Olivia emerged from the kitchen in an apron, carrying a plate. "You're back. Perfect timing, the food's just ready. Go wash your hands and come eat." Steam rose from the table, and for a moment, I froze. This scene had repeated itself countless times over the past 3 years. No matter how busy she was, Olivia always came home before me, cooked dinner, and greeted me with the scent of food and a warm embrace. Those moments had once defined happiness for me. But now, everything was shattered. Coldly, I picked up the plate and dumped its contents straight into the trash. "I told you yesterday, stop wasting your time on useless gestures." Olivia's face drained of color. Her smile froze. But just seconds later, she smiled softly again. "Not to your taste? I'll make something else." I lost patience. "Olivia, do you need me to repeat what I said yesterday?" "You can say it as many times as you want," she replied calmly. "But I won't listen. I won't leave. And I certainly won't give up." She looked straight into my eyes. "Starting today, I'll stay here and take care of you. Until you forgive me, or until I die. You want to stay? Fine, then I'll leave. If you disappear again," she said quietly, "Alex, and all your friends, your mentors, they'll have nowhere left to stand in this world." I froze. "Olivia, you're despicable." "I don't want to be," she whispered, eyes fixed on a drop of blood from a cut on her hand. "But it's the most effective way, isn't it?" The villa fell into silence. That night, she wrapped her arms around me from behind. "Don't touch me. Just don't move. Husband, let me hold you for a little while." The warmth of her embrace, her trembling breath, After more than 7 months apart, she was finally touching the man she loved again. Matthew, I miss you, I really miss you. I stopped struggling. Her love was real. But if she loved me this much, why did she betray me? Why did she destroy everything? Olivia, we can never go back. What's the point of this now? Just let things end peacefully. Olivia didn't answer. She only held me tighter, as if trying to cling to the last trace of warmth between us. It wasn't until the moon hung high in the sky that she finally loosened her arms. I know you don't want to see me, so I'll sleep in the living room. She leaned down, about to kiss me, the way she had every night for years, but stopped halfway. In the end, she simply straightened up and whispered, "Sleep well." She left, and I lay awake all night. It wasn't until the sky began to lighten at dawn that I finally dozed off. Just before noon, a shrill phone ring jolted me awake. "Why didn't you come to the office today?" Charlotte's voice came through, sharp and expectant. It took me a few seconds to recognize who was calling. Annoyed, I snapped back. "What's it to you whether I go or not? Do I owe you a report? Are you that bored?" Charlotte was so stunned by the outburst she couldn't even respond before I hung up. Staring at the screen showing, "Call ended," she let out a frustrated laugh. "What's wrong with me today? Why do I even care whether he shows up or not? I go out of my way to check in, and get yelled at for no reason?" On my end, once awake, I couldn't fall back asleep. After washing my face, I went downstairs, and found Olivia already setting out lunch, waiting quietly for me to join her. But the moment she saw me putting on my coat to leave, she immediately stood up and asked cautiously, "Matthew, I've finished cooking, are you not staying to eat?" Olivia's voice trembled slightly, as if carefully testing the waters. I let out a cold laugh. "Just seeing you kills my appetite completely. If I have to keep eating in this house, I'll probably starve to death one day." Olivia's eyes darkened instantly. She lowered her head, her voice barely a whisper. "Then, come home a little earlier tonight, okay?" The only reply was the loud slam of the door. She knew Matthew still hated her, still resented her deeply. But years of love couldn't just vanish overnight. If she waited patiently for his anger to fade, for him to calm down, there might still be a chance to fix things. Yet this waiting, this limbo, was pure torture. Olivia told herself this with a bitter, resigned smile. No matter how painful, this was the price she had to pay. I left the villa, but had no appetite for food. My mind was heavy with turmoil. Before, whenever I saw Alex fight with his girlfriend, only to make up again, I never understood it. If you don't love each other, just break up. If you do, just stay together. Why drag it out? Now I finally understood. Love has inertia. Even when your mind has decided to let go, your heart is still torn apart by old habits, leaving behind a dull, lingering ache that refuses to fade. Restless and agitated, I walked into the city's most exclusive club, and, in one breath, summoned over a dozen female models to my private room. One of them took a sip of wine, leaned in, and moved to kiss me. I didn't pull away, but just as our lips were about to meet, bam! The door flew open. The model was yanked backward by someone with force. Charlotte stood in the doorway, her face icy, eyes sweeping the room with razor-sharp intensity. "Everyone, get out, now!" Then she locked eyes with me, each word heavy with accusation. "Do you even know what you're doing?" I leaned back against the sofa, took a slow sip from my glass, and gave a dry smile. "Oh, I know exactly what I'm doing. But what's it to you? I paid to have them here. If anyone doesn't belong in this room, it's you. If someone needs to leave, it's you. Don't ruin my fun." We'd barely exchanged a few words when Olivia came rushing in, out of breath. Her eyes scanned the room full of models. A dangerous glint flashed in them. But then she turned to me, pleading, "Honey, come home with me. Okay? These people, they're filthy." I scoffed. "Filthy? And you? Do you really think you're so clean?" Olivia went pale. I swirled my drink, eyes mocking. "I know you've had me followed. That's how you got here so fast. But let me make this clear. You found yourself a man, so why can't I find women? Next time, don't come here to ruin my night. Think about it. When I found out about you and Ethan, I pretended not to know. Let you have your fun. Did I ever storm in like you just did? Olivia stood frozen, her face ashen. I turned my cold gaze to Charlotte. Are you still here? Even my legal wife has no right to interfere with me seeing other women. Who the hell do you think you are to barge in? Fine, both of you. Get out. And close the door on your way out. Olivia knew she was in the wrong. She had no ground to argue. But she couldn't leave either. Just the thought of me enjoying myself with another woman sent jealousy burning through her veins. Charlotte's chest heaved with fury. She was angry at my cruel words, but even angrier at herself. What's wrong with me? I came here to discuss business, so why? The moment I saw him about to kiss someone else, did I lose control and rush in? He has nothing to do with me. The tension in the room was about to snap. When suddenly, a man burst in. He threw himself at Olivia's feet, sobbing desperately. Olivia, how can you be so heartless? Don't you even care about our child anymore? That voice, I'd never forget it. Ethan. After Olivia nearly strangled him to death, they'd completely turned on each other. She immediately froze all his accounts, reclaimed the 2 companies, 5 estates, 6 villas, and countless properties she'd once gifted him. Even the expensive jewelry he'd received was demanded back. In a single night, Ethan went from living in luxury to being utterly broke, even in debt. He couldn't accept it. With no options left, he went to Olivia's parents, weeping and begging for help. They'd always favored him. Hearing his plea, they called their daughter. Sweetheart, just the other day you said you'd treat Ethan well. Why are you treating him like this now? Matthew is gone. Are you really willing to throw away your future over a dead man? Yes, Ethan was wrong to provoke Matthew. But what man wants to be a secret lover forever? It's only natural he wanted recognition. At that moment, Olivia was frantically searching for any trace of me. Her reply was glacial. Mom, if you dare shelter Ethan, then consider us cut off. If you still want me as your daughter, throw him out of the house. Now. At first, her mother thought Olivia was just speaking in anger, so she kept Ethan anyway. But the next day, Olivia shocked everyone by publicly announcing to the media that she'd disowned her own parents. Moreover, she immediately flew back home to finalize all legal procedures. This sent Olivia's mother into such a rage that she fell seriously ill and had to be hospitalized. After recovering, she no longer dared oppose her daughter, and promptly threw Ethan out of the house. As much as she cared for him, her own flesh and blood still came first. Ethan, now completely stripped of support, sank into utter destitution. This time, he'd gone to great lengths to track down Olivia's whereabouts, and scraped together his last bit of money to come here. After all, they'd shared years of intimacy. He believed that if he humbled himself and begged, even if Olivia couldn't restore his former life of luxury, she'd at least help him avoid worrying about food and shelter for the rest of his days. Olivia, don't be so heartless, he pleaded, tears streaming down his face. Look at me. I've wasted away to skin and bones. Can you really be so cruel as to ignore me completely? If that baby hadn't been lost, our child would already be calling you, Mom. Beside me, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Honestly, the scene was utterly absurd. Olivia's face turned as black as coal. She coldly ordered security to drag Ethan out. But he clung desperately to her legs, sobbing, "You can't do this to me. One day as husband and wife. 100 days of bond. We shared so many passionate nights. Can you really cut me off like this?" To be honest, even Charlotte felt uncomfortable watching a mistress weep and cling to her lover's child right in front of the rightful wife. Instinctively, she glanced at me, but I only gave a faint smile, calmly peeling pieces of fruit and popping them into my mouth. My demeanor was utterly indifferent, as if this whole drama had nothing to do with me. Back when I was still overseas, Charlotte had heard plenty about Olivia and me. She'd even accidentally seen our old couple videos. The way my eyes used to glow with love when I looked at Olivia. How I'd get jealous when she glanced at other men. How I'd light up when she acted sweet. But now? I was cold, detached, as if staring at a stranger. She couldn't imagine how many times I must have been crushed before becoming this numb. Charlotte lowered her head, a flicker of regret passing through her. Maybe I was wrong back then? Maybe I shouldn't have told Olivia where Matthew was. After a struggle, Ethan was finally dragged out by security. All the way down the hall, he wailed and screamed in despair. Olivia flinched slightly, then hesitantly turned to me. Don't say a word. I stood up coldly and walked away, voice thick with disgust. Just hearing your voice now makes me want to vomit. Olivia's face went deathly pale, her panic and despair mirroring Ethan's just moments before. That night, I didn't go home. Eventually, Olivia found me by the riverside. It's freezing out here, let's go home. Home? I gave a bitter laugh, eyes fixed on the moonlight shimmering on the water, my voice heavy with sorrow. You and I never had a home to begin with. I looked at her, pain and exhaustion etched into my gaze. Olivia, I'm begging you, just go. Have a little mercy. Stop tormenting me. Is that too much to ask? For this love, I've nearly given my life. What more do you want? Will you only let me go when I'm dead? Olivia's eyes instantly reddened, her lips trembling as she tried to call my name. I let out a hollow laugh, my voice colder than winter wind. Olivia, just let me live. If I have to spend the rest of my life facing you, I'd rather jump into this river and be done with it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Olivia rushed forward, wrapping her arms around me, sobbing uncontrollably. It's all my fault, but I can't let you go. I can't live without you. I stared at her for a long time, then suddenly laughed coldly and pushed her away. You keep saying you love me, but all you ever think about is yourself. As I turned to leave, my phone rang. It was Alex. Hey, there's something I need to tell you. Your old number's been deactivated, so the hospital couldn't reach you. Your mother, she's in critical condition. She wants to see you one last time. I froze. I knew full well that within the country, Olivia's influence was everywhere. Returning would make escape nearly impossible. But I didn't hesitate. I booked a flight that very night. Olivia and Charlotte followed me back. It had been over 10 years since I'd seen my mother. My memories of her were frozen in childhood. A skeletal woman, half-starved. Her body always covered in fresh bruises. Now, I stood outside her hospital room, hesitating, unable to step inside. Matthew, shall I come in with you? Olivia gently took my hand. No. I shook her off, voice icy. Stay out here, you're not allowed in. I opened the door and walked in. Hearing the sound, the woman in the bed slowly opened her eyes and whispered weakly. You're here. I don't really have much to say. I just wanted to thank you. I stood in silence. I'd never needed her thanks. All I'd ever wanted was for her to be free. You don't need to thank me. Saving you was also saving myself. Just then, the door opened again. Her husband and daughter walked in. The small room grew even more cramped. I was squeezed against the wall, with nowhere to stand. In this place, I'd never had a space that belonged to me. I turned and quietly walked out. The moment my foot crossed the threshold, my mother suddenly called out loudly. Jackson. I'm sorry, my child. All these years, I took out my anger on you. I never treated you well. My steps faltered for a second, but I kept walking. No apology was needed. I understood her pain. Only by letting go of the past could she truly begin again. Out in the hallway, Charlotte looked at me, eyes wide with shock. Just now, she called you what? Jackson? Olivia let out a quiet sigh. Yes. Jackson had once been his real name. His mother was from the Harmon family. So later, he changed it himself. Charlotte suddenly gripped Olivia's arm, her voice urgent. His right ankle, it has a large scar, right? How do you know? Olivia asked, startled. Charlotte staggered backward and sank onto a hallway chair, as if all her strength had drained away. The boy she'd spent years searching for. The one who'd saved her life all those years ago. Had been right in front of her all along. She'd imagined countless times that if she ever found him, she'd give him every good thing in the world. But now, she'd brought him nothing but pain. Even made him despise her to the bone. A few days later, my mother passed away. Throughout the funeral, I didn't shed a single tear. But on the way home, I suddenly asked the driver to stop. Then lost control, rushing to the roadside and bursting into desperate sobs. Charlotte stepped out of the car, about to hold an umbrella over me. But Olivia coldly blocked her. She looked at her aunt with wary, distant eyes. In her heart, Charlotte's concern for me had long crossed the line of normalcy. My mother was gravely ill. As my wife, Olivia's presence was expected. But Charlotte had no familial ties to me. Yet she'd willingly missed major business opportunities, defied everything, just to return with me. Olivia couldn't help but suspect. Did Charlotte harbor some unspoken feelings for me? Her voice turned icy, sharp with jealousy and possessiveness. My husband, I'll take care of him myself. No need to trouble you, Auntie. With that, she turned to embrace me, but I shoved her away forcefully. Just get away from me, I shouted in despair, tears streaming down my face. Olivia, today, just pity me once. Don't show your face to me again. I can't stand the sight of you, I'm disgusted. Get out. Olivia's hand froze midair. Her heart clenched so tightly it stole her breath. Had I become something so repulsive in Matthew's eyes? Was there any hope left to fix this? After a long silence, she quietly turned and walked away, each step heavy as if trampling on stone. In the days that followed, I refused to see her. And she, for once, knew her place, staying out of my sight. But the place I lived was now tightly surrounded. She'd effectively placed me under house arrest. A month later, in the dead of night, Olivia appeared. She sat by my bed, gently stroking my gaunt face. Her voice weary but filled with sorrow. In just half a month, you've lost so much weight. I coldly jerked my head away, eyes hollow. How long do you plan to lock me up? My whole life? Yes, she whispered, leaning in to hold me tightly. I've settled everything outside. From now on, I'm not going anywhere, I'll stay here with you. And you'll stay with me. I know you value loyalty. But if you leave me again, I'll make everyone you care about wish they were dead. I laughed, a laugh so cold it sent chills down the spine. You're truly insane. I'm not insane, she said, gripping me tighter, pressing me against her chest. But if you leave me again, I will go mad. The next day, she had hundreds of wedding suits delivered and arranged a full photo shoot crew to commemorate our third wedding anniversary. The moment the photographer raised his camera, I grabbed the wedding cake and hurled it straight at her. Go to hell, who the hell wants to take pictures with you? She calmly wiped the frosting off her clothes and said evenly, there are plenty of backup outfits, and more cakes can be made. If you're still angry, go ahead, keep throwing. And I did, over 10 times. By the last throw, she only frowned slightly but didn't flare up. Instead, she spoke gently, like coaxing a stubborn child. Matthew, let's just finish the photos first, okay? Afterward, you can hit me however you like. I smiled, but it was a mocking, bitter smile. I threw another slice of cake straight into her face. The shoot was ruined. Worse, the cake contained plum sauce. Something I loved, but Olivia was severely allergic to. She collapsed on the spot, unconscious. That night, the moment she woke up, she went straight to the kitchen to cook for me herself. But I casually listed a whole new set of dishes. It took her 2 hours to prepare them all, only for me to glance at the food and say coldly, I don't want any of this anymore. Without a word of protest, she quietly returned to the kitchen and kept cooking until late into the night. After showering, she climbed into bed beside me. But I immediately kicked her onto the floor. You're not sleeping with me. You're filthy. She gave a faint, bitter smile, about to explain. But I cut her off, voice dripping with scorn. I'm not talking about the dirt on the outside. I mean, how many times you've slept with Ethan? It's revolting. Olivia froze. Her breath caught in her throat. Finally, she fell silent, pulled a thin blanket over herself, and lay down on the sofa. The next morning, just as dawn broke, the phone rang, shattering the quiet. Afraid of waking me, she quietly slipped out of the room. "What is it?" she asked, her voice weary. On the other end, the housekeeper's calm voice replied, Miss Charlotte is at the gate. She'd like to see you." Olivia stepped outside. When she reached the villa's gate, she found Charlotte standing there, composed, yet her eyes burning with quiet determination. Olivia's lips curled into a faint, mocking smile. "The housekeeper said you've come here 6 times in the past half-month. What's so urgent?" Charlotte looked straight into her eyes, suspicion sharp in her voice. "I came to see Matthew. But his phone's always off." "Olivia, are you keeping him locked up? Even if you're married, that's still illegal." Olivia let out a cold laugh, her gaze dripping with sarcasm. "Oh, so Auntie remembers we're married? As an elder, you're showing a little too much interest in your nephew's husband, don't you think?" She stepped closer, lowering her voice, each word like a blade. "Even if you kissed him once, it meant nothing. He was just trying to provoke me. Don't flatter yourself into thinking he actually likes you." Charlotte froze, as if doused with ice water. Olivia continued, voice indifferent. "From now on, don't come here again. Whether you have business or not, just stay away. You're not welcome here." Back in the room, just the thought of someone else daring to set eyes on me sent jealousy blazing through her like wildfire. "No, it's too dangerous to stay here. I have to take Matthew to the new island I bought." She immediately ordered her assistant to arrange everything. A few days later, as preparations neared completion, her assistant called in a panic. "Ethan's caused a scene on the company rooftop. He says if he doesn't see the CEO, he'll jump." Olivia's face darkened. She rushed straight to the office. The moment she left the villa, Charlotte led a team inside. I stood on the balcony, gazing into the distance in silence. She approached and stood beside me for a long time, until my impatient eyes finally flicked toward her. "What do you want?" My voice was glacial. Charlotte took a deep breath, gathering her courage. "Do you remember saving a kidnapped girl all those years ago?" In her memory, that boy had been the only person who'd ever shown her genuine kindness. Hearing this, I froze, my eyes slowly widening in realization. "You're that girl from back then?" Charlotte's eyes lit up with emotion. "You still remember me?" I gave a cold laugh. "Of course I do. I remember the liar who broke her promise." I told her. Back then, she'd sworn she'd call the police after escaping. I'd run home thrilled, told my mother, and for once, she smiled. But then, a month passed. A year. Years. No police ever came. So my mother grew to hate me deeply, believing I was just another liar. After that, I never saw her smile again. Charlotte rushed to explain. "I did report it to the police. But I fell seriously ill afterward, and when I woke up, I'd forgotten the exact location. All these years, I've never stopped looking for you." I turned to leave without looking back. It doesn't matter anymore. All I know is, I truly regret it now. I should have just left you to rot in that village. Then I'd never have had to face someone as repulsive as Olivia. She stood stunned, her heart clenching in pain. Desperately, she grabbed my hand. "I'm sorry. I can't change the past, but I can make it right. If you don't want to stay here, I'll take you away." I paused, my eyes shadowed. "Olivia's using my friends to threaten me. If I go, can you guarantee their safety?" Without hesitation, she nodded. "No problem." I was silent for a moment, then whispered, "I'll trust you, one last time." At that very moment, on the company rooftop, Olivia stood coldly before Ethan. "How dare you show your face to me again?" Her voice was ice, each word sharp and final. "If it weren't for you, things between Matthew and me wouldn't have reached this point." Ethan clutched 2 small children tightly, his voice trembling. "Olivia, we loved each other once. Do you really not need me anymore?" After everything that had happened, he knew better than anyone how heartless Olivia could be. But he'd grown up in luxury, then relied entirely on her, never learning to survive on his own. Now, with aging parents to care for, he had no way out. All he could do was beg, clinging to the faintest thread of their shared past. Olivia let out a bitter laugh, her voice laced with contempt. If it weren't for your scheming, Matthew and I would never have ended up like this. I hate you so much I could kill you. Whether you live or die means nothing to me. Those cruel words shattered Ethan's last shred of hope. He collapsed to his knees, utterly broken. In his anguish, he let out a bitter, hollow laugh. So I'm the one who ruined your relationship with Matthew. If you'd truly been faithful, do you think I could have dragged you into bed with me over and over again so easily? Olivia merely glanced at him, her lips curling in disdain, as if watching a cheap sideshow. Then turned and walked away. Just before leaving the rooftop, she heard his furious, hate-filled scream from behind. Olivia, I curse you. You'll never get what you truly want for the rest of your life. She only scoffed, not even bothering to look back. But the moment she stepped out of the building, a dark figure plummeted from above at terrifying speed. A sickening thud echoed through the air. Flesh and bone shattered on impact, blood and tissue spraying everywhere. Splatters of crimson and shards of white bone hit her face. For a few seconds, Olivia stood frozen in shock. When she recognized the mangled body at her feet, her face turned deathly pale. Terror and horror twisting inside her, impossible to tell which was stronger. Police arrived immediately and took her to the station for questioning. It was past midnight when she finally returned home, only to find a scene that nearly drove her mad. All her bodyguards had been drugged and bound. The security cameras destroyed. And Matthew, gone without a trace. Panicked, she shook the unconscious housekeeper violently, screaming, "What the hell happened?" The housekeeper struggled to open his eyes, voice trembling. "Miss, it was Miss Charlotte. She took Master Matthew away." "Ari, eh? Nah," Olivia hissed through clenched teeth. In that moment, she wanted nothing more than to tear that woman apart and devour her alive. She immediately ordered a citywide lockdown of all transportation. But it was too late by then. I was already on a private jet, leaving the country. After a full day of flying, the plane landed in a small foreign town. Charlotte had already arranged housing and local contacts to help me settle in. 5 days passed. Everything was in order, yet she still hadn't left. I looked at her coldly. "It's been 5 days. Everything's set. Why are you still here?" This was the 8th time I'd asked her to go. She hesitated, flustered. "I just wanted to make sure you've adjusted to your new life." "No need. I'm fine. Don't trouble yourself." I opened the door, heading out to a nearby restaurant. "Anyway, thank you for your help. But years ago, I saved your life once. Now we're even. If you'd like, before you leave, I'll treat you to a meal." She lowered her head, voice tinged with quiet hurt. "Do you really hate me that much?" I gave a faint, mocking smile. I thought I'd made it clear. For the rest of my life, I never want to be connected to anyone tied to Olivia. She let out a bitter laugh. "Then, I'll leave this afternoon. Safe travels." I stayed in that town for 3 years, building a successful tech company, but registered everything under Alex's name. Charlotte occasionally sent me gifts. Sometimes a rare gemstone, sometimes just a fallen leaf or an oddly colored bird feather. During holidays, despite knowing I didn't welcome her, she still came. I understood her feelings for me. But I no longer had the energy for a love with no future. Moving forward alone was enough. In the 3rd year, on Christmas, I firmly rejected Charlotte. In the 4th year, as New Year's approached, I received the news. Olivia was dead. For years, she'd gone mad searching for me, but Charlotte had always blocked her. She grew increasingly paranoid, once storming into Charlotte's office, knife in hand, intent on killing her. Nightmares haunted her sleep. Ethan, drenched in blood, staring at her in silence with wide, unblinking eyes. Whether it was karma or the last flicker of conscience, she sank into severe depression. A few days ago, clutching our wedding photo, she jumped from the top floor of her company building. I returned home for her funeral. The priest read her final letter. The moment I betrayed you, I thought it was just a small mistake I could hide. But in truth, I buried my own life right then and there. I'm sorry. With the dead gone, all grudges dissolved like dust in the wind. Suddenly, I remembered being 18. Olivia, blushing, standing nervously before me, asking shyly, "Hi, classmate, can I have your number?" Back then, sunlight had fallen perfectly on one side of her face. Just like now, light streaming down onto her coffin.